So, we're Nevertheless I Live. We're right at the very last here on chapter 3, the three devotions for discerning God's direction in your life, because it has to be alliterated. And so this last one here is discerning God's direction. It means figuring out what God wants us to do. We're talking about God's will in our life. And in our Christian circles and stuff, that's one of those things that we talk about all the time. You know, what's God's will? Are you in God's will? This is, the perfect will, the acceptable will, the good will. This thing about God's will, and we use it a lot. And the problem with that is when we use words like that over and over and over again, the meaning kind of gets lost a lot of time. And so one of the things I said last week is, and Pastor said this many times, God's will in my life, there's kind of a hidden will, and then there's just God's will. God's will in our life is not a complicated thing. God's will in our life, and if you've been listening to Preacher at all, where is he doing Romans 12, 1 and 2? What service? Sunday morning, Sunday night? When is that? Sunday night, right? 12, and he's been there for almost a month now. And he's said this over and over and over again. God's will for our life is Romans 12, 1 and 2. Therefore, give your bodies a living sacrifice unto the Lord, wholly acceptable unto the Lord. That's God's will. And again, those are big words, sounds really hard. It boils down to this. Do what you know to do right now. That's not too hard. I know what God wants me to do right now. I know what God doesn't want me to do right now. He doesn't want me to break out in a bunch of cuss words. Okay? And rip my clothes off. He doesn't want me to do that stuff. And y'all don't want me to do that stuff either. But he does want me to do what I'm doing. And he wants me to be kind. He wants me tenderhearted. It's not too hard to know exactly kind of what God wants right now. And I don't have to worry about next week, next month, next year. I just don't. Now, it's not bad to plan for them in that sense, but watch this. I can plan all I want for tomorrow, but I don't know if I'm going to have tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and, just any number of strange and bizarre things could happen. Because we woke up one day last year, or this year in March sometime, and the world turned upside down, right? I mean, all of a sudden, you don't go to work, you don't do this, you don't do this, you wear a mask. You're like, what? That wasn't in our plan. But when I get up in the morning, I do know that God wants me to open my Bible, pray. He wants me to read his word, to listen. He wants me to talk to him. He wants me to, get dressed, go to work, do the things he set in front of me. I can do that. That's God's will. We don't have to get all complicated about it, okay? So, we're talking about this, and the verse I kind of stop with, I'm going to start with tonight, is Proverbs 16:3. And this has been a huge thing in my life since the start of this school year. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. And so what this verse is this. If I will commit everything I do to God, this is what God wants me to do. I'm committed to him. I'm dedicated to him. My focus is on doing what God wants me to do. I'm not going to worry about anything else. I'm going to do to the best of my ability. I'm going to give everything to God right there. I'm going to commit my works unto him. If I come in here and teach school, I'm going to commit that to him. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, to the way he wants me to do it. I commit that to him. I'm not going to worry about stuff. And as I do that, he establishes my thoughts. He gets my thoughts lined out. He gets them to be the thoughts he needs them to be. That's his job, is to order my thoughts. Pastor last night, I'm pretty sure it was Pastor, I get confused on where I've heard things, but you'll be doing something. His brother Jason was teaching a couple weeks ago. I was watching the videos from the past, and he said, I'll get up and I'll be praying. I'll be, doing my devotions, and all of a sudden I realize my mind is over here on a job somewhere. And I'm like, what? I'm doing this. Or our pastor said this many times. I'll be praying, and all of a sudden this thought comes to my mind. It's like, where did that come from? Because that's wicked, evil, and horrible. And it's all of a sudden just boom. So we don't. That's God's job to take care of that stuff. Because I just don't have that control, but he does. Okay, I tell my math students all the time, especially my upper level, I've changed the way I'm teaching math this year. Just take the problem, look at it, decide what am I supposed to do? Well, I need to do this, this, and this, okay? So I'm committing the works. I know what to do as I start working the process. As I do that over and over again, my thoughts get established. It becomes second nature to do that way, the right way. But we have to train it. That takes training. That's committing our works to him. So here's the deal. Whenever we feel ourselves struggling with foolish thoughts, God doesn't love me. He's not doing anything in my life. He's not answering my prayers. I'm alone. God doesn't care about me. Have you ever had those thoughts? Maybe I'm the only one that has those, but I do. Something happens this morning. I just was thinking about a situation, okay? I'm thinking about this thing that happened, and I started getting just I'm all discouraged. I'm angry at God. Why did he let this happen? Why is this person doing this? It's just wrong. They shouldn't treat me like this. I'm just going to go eat worms and die. It's just nobody loves me. And all of a sudden, wait a minute. That's ridiculous. I know better. I just started correcting myself. Number one, that person that I'm angry with and this thing they did that really hurt me, number one, I got to get over it. Whatever. Number two, I don't think they had any idea that it hurt me and probably would not if they knew. Didn't mean what I took it to mean. All that stuff. None of that's true. And even if it was, so what? Because God still loves me. God created me. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm not a bad person. I do bad things sometimes. But God, I'm okay with God. This is how he made me. And which is, he loves me, and he's going to take care of it. I had to get away from that. So when we start thinking this stuff, we need to get back to the 3 dedications we're talking about. Okay, dedicating our bodies to the Lord, dedicating our thoughts to God. Okay, commit our works into the Lord. Just get back to that focus on God, and God will take care of this stuff. God will take care of this stuff. I don't have to fix it, and I can't anyway. I just have to get a hold of the Lord, and he will take care of it. And here's the thing. God will never overload us. Have you ever felt like you're just up to here? One more thing, and your entire brain is going to explode all over the place, and it's going to be ugly because it's going to be all over the walls. Have you ever felt that? I get this feeling in my chest sometimes. I can feel it tightening, and I feel like I can't do this. There's too much. There's too much. I just can't. And that's not a good feeling. That's stressful. That's hard on my body. It's hard on everything. And I've got to stop, and I've got to say, wait, so I got to get rid of that because I'm not supposed to feel that way. God always has a purpose and plan in my life. He knows what's going on. He knew I was going to be standing there. He says, just give it to me. It's okay. I can handle this. You can't, but I can. And so let me. He doesn't. I try to deal with stuff on my own. Well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got this, got this, got this. I can't do all this stuff at once. And God says, you're right. It's not a big deal. Do this. Forget about the rest. Do this. And then do that. And pretty soon, after you've done this for a while, you look back and it's all taken care of. Because God's never going to give me more than I can handle if I stay with him. Now, if I don't stay with him, it gets pretty ugly. And I will fall. And I'll go down in flames. I will. So I have to stay with him because he's got it. And I've got to understand that he does have it. Now, I question it a lot, okay? And I don't like it sometimes, but that's okay. I've got to just back off and say, I know he has it. Because if that's not true, I'm in a lot of trouble. And I don't want to be in a lot of trouble, so it's true. Besides, he says so right here. He knows how much we can handle with his help. And you know what? Here's the thing. He's going to take us right up to that mark. He will. But that's okay, because we can handle that with his help. Now, we're like, I don't think I can do this. But God said, just chill, dude. Because he can call us dude if he wants. He said, just chill out, man. I've got this. I'm not going to let it go too much. Okay, I know where to stop, but you got to stick with me, Doc, because if you don't, you're going under, okay? So I have to stay with him. It's like this. I teach 7th graders, one of the blessings of my life, okay? And you tell a child, they're children, you tell a child to do 3 things, right? All right, do this, do this, do this. Adeline, if you got little Adeline, and she's, yes, Mommy, what do you want me to do? And you say, well, I want you to do this, sweetie, and then do this and do this. And you got that? Yes, Mommy. And you turn to nurse, what's going to happen? Well, she might do one. She'll do the first one, sweet little girl, right? And then squirrel happens and she's gone, right? And that's why 7th graders, because they're famous. I teach math, if you haven't figured that out yet. One of the things I struggle with for 7th graders, now, and it's not a character issue, it's a physical issue. Their brain is still forming at that time. They're learning, switching from just rote memory problems to the ability to analyze, think, figure out, and follow through a process. They're right at that time in their life where it's switching from one to the other. So I cut them a lot of slack. I know this is happening, but that doesn't mean it's okay. So in math, a lot of times there's these things called 2-step problems. So how many steps are there?
2 steps.
Yeah, see, you're one of those kids. 3, cow. All right, so there's a 2-step problem. And watch this. They read it. It's all this stuff, and they diligently do the first part, and they go to the next problem. I'm like, wait a minute. Where's the rest of the answer? What? I did it. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. It's right there. I said, no, you didn't. Read it. And they say, oh. Because they just don't get it. You with me here a little bit? So which is, God knows that we're children. I think I said this last week. I have not yet found in the Bible, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I have not yet found any place in the Bible where God talks to us as adults. It's always my son, my child. We're kids, and he knows that. Now, some of us are more mature than others, but we're still childs, okay? We're still childs, and we always will be childs, okay? And that's okay. God knows that. So watch this. When God when God fed the guys in the wilderness, his children in the wilderness, he gave them manna, right? So how much manna did he give them? 1 day. Now, so here's, we need some really tiny people in here. You're pretty small, Ryan. Okay, physically you're pretty small. So I'm going to assume, now because I met people where this is not true, we're going to assume that Ryan, she's a very small young lady, and so it doesn't take a lot to feed her. You're not like the garbage kid, are you, where you can just eat forever? Okay, that's good. Because we had a friend that was like you, and she could out-eat anybody. It was crazy. But anyway, so here's Ryan. Now so I'm going to use Dustin because he's a big guy. So I would assume that it takes a little bit more food to power him, to fuel him for him. So in the desert, when the manna comes, you're going to get just enough manna to feed you, and you're going to be full, satisfied, perfect. But God's not going to give Dustin that much because it's not enough. He's going to give Dustin more because he needs more. Does that make sense? God knows exactly how much we need, and it's not the same. It's not like, you get the little scooper here, plop, there's yours, plop, there's yours. It's exactly how much we need. That's what God gives us. No more, but no less. Okay, and we can't store it up. That's the whole point. Okay, it's just exactly what we need for 1 day. So he gives more to the physically active teenager than the 95-year-old. He knows what we need. Okay, just exactly as much. And here's the deal. He doesn't exactly say why, but it's pretty obvious. There's a lot of reasons why he gave them 1 day's worth. Because if he gave them a week's worth, they'd say, oh, look, at a week, they gather it. And they wouldn't go back looking for manna, God, until when? Next week. God wants us to look for him every day. So if I eat all my manna, the next day I go, God, I need manna. Oh, thank you, God, that's awesome. God, I need manna. That's what he wants. That's why he doesn't give us, like, what's the will of God for my life? What do you want me to do, God? He says, I want to take that step. Ah, you're so good. What do I do next? Take that step. If he says, I want you to walk over there. He says, Alan, I said, what's your will for my life? I want you to walk from here to that door. I say, okay, and so I just walk, right? So I'm walking out of the camera, by camera. So I'm walking over here, and I don't need God's help because I know how to get to the door. It's right there. And in all that time, I never turned to God one time for direction, for help, for questions, for anything, because I got it. So he doesn't tell us very far out what he wants us to do, because he wants us to say, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? And we get a little frustrated with that, because we want to know, because we need to know. We're the adult person. We got to make plans. We got things to do. And God's, no. You're a child. If I tell you all that, number one, you won't come back to me. Number two, you'll probably mess it up by the third step. Take 5 steps. After about 2 steps, the squirrel comes by, and we're like, whoa, and we're just completely lost again. And so God just gives us a little bit, but he gives us exactly enough. And we have to continually go back to him. That is what he wants. He's like, I want you, if he could give us more, and if we would stay with him, if he fed me for a week and I stayed in his presence that entire week and ate what he gave me, but stayed in his presence, it wouldn't be a problem to him. And maybe he would do that. But most of the time it is a problem for me to stay there. I kind of need that encouragement to do it. Now, it sounds like a bad thing. Well, I'm manipulating you to get you to be here with me. And in a lot of senses, that's true. It's not manipulation from God, though. When I do it to try to get you to do what I want you to do, that's not necessarily a good thing, although it's not necessarily a bad thing. What do you think I do with teenagers all day long? I require them to do certain things. So I do things so they will do things back. I'm training them. I'm teaching. If you want to call that manipulation, I don't know how you parent without manipulation properly. There's good stuff and there's bad stuff, but watch this. Just because we use that word in a negative manner doesn't mean that it's always negative. It's the use it's put to. But that's what God does with us. He has to. He knows us. He knows what we're capable of. He knows how he just knows everything about us. He knows exactly what we need. He knows what will motivate us. And he wants us to do right. He wants us to choose right. One of the things that we learned as parenting is and Sarah's helped me a lot with this. She's helped me a lot with everything. But with parenting, as a young child, you don't give them this. You're going to wear this, and you're going to do this. Well, why? Because I said so. As they get a little bit older, you want to start teaching them to make choices. But you want to give them choices that are not in any way negative, that are not harmful. Okay, so you don't say, you can choose to wear clothes or go naked. That's not a good choice. So instead you say you're going to wear the red shirt, you set out a red shirt and a blue shirt, and you say, which one would you like? And they're like, I get to choose. And it doesn't really matter which one, but they learn to choose. Does that make sense? And then you give them a little bit more choices. And you guide those choices when they're framework. You teach them to make right choices. And you could instruct them on, this one might be better than this one because of this, and they get to think it through, when in reality they're all good choices. And as they get older and older, the framework gets larger and larger, and there comes a time when parents are out of the picture now. Now it's an adultish person that is responsible to God and responsible for their choices. And now if they've been trained to make wise choices, they will continue to make wise choices. But it takes training and help and steering and guidance, and that's what God's doing with us. Okay, so if you ever feel like God's forgotten about you, doesn't care what's happened to you, if you feel out of touch or separated, check out those 3 areas of your life, okay? Remember, if one of those is slipping, your relationship is slipping. It's our lack of relationship with God. Have you ever said to yourself, wow, I haven't heard from God. I don't feel like God's very close to me, or I'm very close to God. I just feel separated from God. Have you ever felt that? And I do. Here's the deal. It's always always me. God didn't go anywhere. You know, I found God. Was he lost? No. But no. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't get lost. Yeah. No, but it's always an us problem, never a God problem. Because Jesus suffered in the flesh for us, you know what? We should take upon the same mind of Christ. Because he suffered in the flesh for us, we should take upon ourselves the same mind of Christ that he had. 1 Peter 4:1. For as much then Christ has suffered for us in the flesh, because Christ has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourself likewise with the same mind. Because Jesus suffered for us in the flesh, he did that to show us that he has the ability to overcome suffering. Because he suffered. We watched him suffer in the flesh. Because we know that's true. That is evidence that tells us that he knows what it feels like to suffer. And he's gone through it. And he will help us through it. Arm yourself likewise with the same mind, the mind that Christ had. That, because he did it, we can also. Because he did it, we can too. He knows, and he will always, God will never leave you nor forsake you. He will always get you through whatever suffering it is. He's done it. He's been there. He bought all the t-shirts. He has them. And so when we start going through it, all we have to do is remember, God, Christ went through this too. Help me, and he will. Ask him, and he will. Arm yourself, therefore, with the same mind. For he that has suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin. He went through it. And he's paid for the sin. He took care of it. He became sin for us. He beat sin, beat death. He's in heaven. He's given us that victory over sin. He's given us the victory over death. We have that now. My victory over death is when I die, I'm going to heaven. My victory over sin is this. We are struggling with sin. Every one of us struggles with sin. All of us do. And sin is there. We have a nature to sin. Even though we're saved, we have that new nature. We still have the sin nature also. And sin is going to be an issue until the day we die. So this freedom that Christ talks about, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That freedom is freedom, victory over sin. And because Christ had victory over sin, if we will stay in Christ, if we will stay in that relationship where he wants us with him, if we'll stay there, he will give us victory. He's got the victory. He will give us the victory that he already has. It's his victory, not ours. But he will give us victory over that sin. Our job is not to fight the sin. Our job isn't to fix our relationship. Our job isn't to, quit drinking. Our job isn't to stop looking at pornography. Our job isn't any of those things. Our job is to seek after, with all of our heart, that relationship with God. To seek his face. To seek his face. It's not that we shouldn't seek his hand. But we need to seek his face. We have to do that. Sarah, you come up here for just a minute. Would you mind? Let's see if I can do this. I just was going to do this. We'll see how it works. Okay. Hopefully this will be an awesome illustration. We'll just see. Depends on if she's good at this or not. So what God wants us to seek his face. So here's the deal. So I just greatly desire a relationship with my wife. I want one. I want a relationship with her. But to have the best relationship with her, I don't want to seek her hand. Because when I have her hand, I'm looking. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking at. I have her hand. Where am I looking? I'm looking at her hand. I have her hand. And it feels really good too. I like it. Watch this. I have her hand. And that's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with this. If you're not married. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. This is a good thing. We're married. We can do this, okay? This is good. But you know what? This is not having a relationship. So, but if I do this, if I seek her face, if I seek her face, like this. Put your hands up. Okay, I have her hands too. Watch this. If I seek her face like this is what God wants. Now, I have her hands too. Do you see that? I have her hands because it comes with the face, pretty much. You can't just get one. I don't know if this is working or not, but when I seek God's face, if I'm close enough to seek his face, I'm within his arms. But if I just have his hand, I've got his hand. God, I need help. I need help. I need this. I need this. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is what he wants. He wants this. He wants this because when we're this close, I'm within his arms. That's what he wants. Thanks, God. That's why I need to seek his face. You understand? I'm not saying there's anything wrong at all about asking God for. He says, ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. You have not because you ask not. There's nothing wrong with that. But it just seems like in our life we spend so much time, gimme, 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 gimme. And we start telling God what he needs to do. God, you just have you ever said that? God, you've got to do this. And he's like, I ain't got to do nothing, dude. I don't have the right to tell God what he has to do. Now, don't take me wrong there. There's been times in my life when I've said, and I said it today, God, you've got to. And you know what? He says, I will, son. I will. It's okay. I got you. He's my dad. He loves me. When my little son would come to me, Dad, you got to do this. I didn't take it as an order. But you know what? Sometimes it morphs into that. And the kids start telling the parents what they are going to do. Because I've heard that a lot. Didn't happen much in our house. Because when that started, we stopped it. It's not right. But to go to Dad and say, Dad, you've got to, please. You're the only one I've got to turn to, God, please. You have to. He understands, and he does. And that's not right. But you know where I'm looking when I'm doing that? I'm looking at his face, God. That's what he wants. And when I'm in his face, when I seek his face, he's taking care of stuff. I'm in his arms. He's taking care of everything else. I'm there. I see that's safety, that's protection, that's the foundation, that's the shelter from the storm. I'm in his arms. I'm nothing can touch me. And he's taking care of everything else. Now, I don't just, you can't walk around just God, 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 God. Like that. You've got to live life, do business. Because, it's not just being like this, it's all the spaghetti stuff too. But my main focus, my main goal has to be, God, I want that relationship with you. And you know what? When I do that, God says, I think when God was Garden of Eden, he's walking with Adam in the cool of evening. Adam, Eve, they're walking around talking. What do you think they're talking about? I think, in my mind, this is what I think, that they're talking. Adam's talking about what he did today, and God's making suggestions. Well, if you try this, dude, if you do this way, Adam's like, yeah, I'll do that. I will, because God's telling him what to do. Not demanding, ordering, but he's saying, do this way. And Adam says, yes, I will. That's what God wants. When we seek his face, when we have that relationship, God tells us what he needs us to do. And so then we do it. We can't just hear and ignore. We have to hear and obey. Aye, sir. Okay, but we have to seek the face. Now, when we need something, it's not wrong to ask. He wants us to ask. And he says if we ask properly, he'll give us whatever we ask for. Okay? But it's the face we have to seek, not just the hands. All right. Cut it off, Quinn.